I think I can help.
Your parents have to advocate for that. Just I know. I'm joking.
No, it's real.
I'm cynically commenting on high school sports.
That's actually one of the biggest regrets is not having the
advocation.
No, I didn't want. I didn't know that I could talk with the coaches. I never thought I could.
Who would have thought that?
I could, after just me and you, hey, this is where I see my playing career, and how do you, what if we did, that was foreign.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, there was a couple of guys whose parents could, do that, and it was already set in stone, but I was happy to do whatever they told me to do, and, hey, I didn't need to be on offense to, I was voted team captain.
He could have been Travis Hunter before Travis Hunter.
Well, listen, you see the 21, so there was a part of me that thought that I could do it all, the fake Dion,
That's all I was going to ask you if you're a big Dion fan.
Oh, you had to be.
Is Travis Hunter the Heisman dude? I don't even follow college football.
And then when I became a junior, my number switched to number 2. I became, and that was Charles Woodson at the time. He was still coming out of college. He was the baddest D-back in college, won the Heisman Trophy, so I wanted to be him.
So some interceptions then, because you got them hands, right?
I intercepted a guy from Topeka High, actually, who you should know his name. Tramel Guillory.
Yes, I know that dude.
He was a freak.
Yeah.
And guess who tackled me after the interception?
Tramel. Yeah, he probably. I don't know that he chased you down from behind, but he might have. He would have angled.
On the highlight tape. I tried to juke him and get around him. I had the angle. It was just one-on-one, and he definitely took my ass.
Yeah. I can't remember why I know Tramel, because he's considerably younger than me. He's probably Grayling's age.
Because everything he's ever did, he's been really good at, and his name rings bells. Maybe that.
I think maybe he played for Geo's AAU team, so I think we would actually play against them. Geo and I, some dudes, and play against their AAU team. And anyway, they had skills. Dude had skills. You had skills. You were tackled by somebody that had skills. And today we're here to talk about skills, aren't we?
Are we?
That's what we do, don't we?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, we're putting skills on reels.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
That's all I do. That's my only skill, dad joke skill, right?
Yeah. And you are honing the dad bone as we speak.
We have to welcome everybody today to Hangin
with the Homeboys.
Guys, it's February 30th, and I'm too close to the mic, and it's really, what is it today?
Okay, good, because that's not a real thing, and it never will be. Today is actually, in real life, February 26th.
February 26th.
Yes,
I should know that because I signed a buyer agency agreement today.
Look at you, boy.
Yeah, that feels good.
Yeah.
That's a thing that we do as agents,
That's right?
That's a new thing that we do up front now before we write the contract.
He's never even met this man in real life, but he's already dictating the shots.
All signed up, so that's a plus, and so that's the type of stuff that we talk about on our podcast here, right? We have our different segments. We always go through the home field advantage. We're going to talk about the buyer's home field advantage. We're going to talk about the seller's home field advantage, and even the agent's home field advantage, right?
Oh, yeah.
All right. We're also going to talk about some Homeyology, which is a little bit of industry stats, things that affect your decisions in the marketplace as a buyer, seller, or agent. End around to Full House, where we might talk about some design trends, or we've got a pretty trendy one going on right now that's not really design aesthetically, but it's designed structurally, and that's just a teaser. Okay.
Yeah.
And then we circle back to House Party, which is hopefully something funny. We'll see. I don't know why they keep letting me come up with the funny stuff. It's because I'm writing it down. Is that why?
That's all it takes.
The buildup, the pressure. And then we finish up with the home stretch or home run and cross home plate. That's where Neil tells us what we need to bring back for you guys.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. Should we get started?
Oh, yeah. I'm ready, baby. Yeah.
Home field advantage, baby. The pound, the knuckles, the fist. And we're here. I think today, you know what? Why don't we just start off with something that has a lot of impact, and let's talk about our sellers' home field advantage.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is big right now, right? We're rolling up on March. It doesn't matter what the conditions are economically. This is always when the house season starts to ramp up on a buyer side and a seller side.
That's right. And you know what I meant to say was the buyer's home field advantage.
Yeah,
okay?
listen, It ramps up everywhere.
It's all ramps. It's all
Yes.
ramps. In homes, you have ramps like bike ramps, wheelchair ramps,
Definitely.
all kinds of stuff, ADA stuff. What I wanted to mention, or what I want you to touch on, is deferred maintenance for a buyer. How the decisions that they make and the things that they do with their property affect the value of that property going forward. Like if you have little issues, one of the main things that I'm looking for when I'm out showing houses and talking to buyers about is I'm going to talk about gutters. Gutters is so easy, all you have to do is make sure that they don't have leaves in them. If you don't clean the leaves out, then you end up with water coming over the edge, water getting back under the fascia, going back inside the roof. You get, when it goes over the edge, the water falls down by the side of the house, and then you end up ruining the most expensive and important part of your house, the foundation. And that is a piece of deferred maintenance, that paying attention to the water coming out of your gutters, that's so easy to notice. You just have to pay attention when it rains. Pay attention to whether you have puddles around your house, and it's very expensive if you don't.
Well, it's also so easy to take for granted. We take for granted rain management. We take for granted gutters, downspouts. And there are a number of grown people that really, truly don't understand how they function and the problems when they're not functioning right and what can happen. And so when it comes to me working with buyers, especially younger buyers who have never owned their house before and maybe don't understand just the maintenance that goes along with it, I'm using the houses that we're looking at to tell stories and to teach them what can happen. And normally, and maybe you can let me know if this rings true to you. When you have a house where maybe some people live there for a long time, what happens is people stay up on the maintenance of the house, but as they get a little older and their eyes aren't as sharp as they used to, and just surviving the day becomes more of a chore than it was when they were younger and they could stay up on top of things. Maintenance seems to be one of the things that really falls by the wayside, especially if you're dealing with a single person household and an elderly person at the same time. And you can show them, guys, this issue here that has caused all of this erosion and negative grading and this huge hole on the side of the house probably went 10 years without being addressed. These gutters up here are slammed full of leaves, and they've probably been that way for a long, long, long time. And this is what happens. Now, if we can take care of it and we can rebuild this with the new soil and take care of all the erosion, we can get it back and we probably won't have any more water intrusion. But staying up on that is such a big deal, and using the houses that you're looking at to tell those stories is a lot, because truthfully, when I say that our number one goal as agents is to avoid catastrophe for the clients, them shooting themselves in the foot in slow motion is one of those catastrophes that you want to help avoid, because whether you like it or not, you're their guy. And when it's time to sell this house, who are they going to call? Right? And if you see a bunch of stuff that could have easily been avoided with just a little bit more education, you're going to have to be the one that lets them know the bad news. And would you rather warn them in the beginning or tell them how much they squandered 7 years later when it's time to sell that house,
Well, and also after someone has bought the house, there's another question too, and even as the agent, how can we help them with deferred maintenance? It's not, we can't just go into their house and say, hey, you need to do this thing. And if we drive by and we say, oh, I see that your gutters are full, we couldn't even hardly notice that from the street anyway. But that buyer has that responsibility to try to pay attention to those things through our buying process, to try to learn what it is that the lessons that we're trying to impart on them about owning a house, and then take care of it and not defer that maintenance while they're owning it. But can we do anything? Are there things? What things are there that a buyer could expect from their agent to help them with deferred maintenance? Anything?
I'll be honest with you. outside of being a knowledgeable person that my clients feel like they can reach out to when they need something, I've been doing nothing really in that regard other than telling anecdotal stories that I hope can stick with them. But
yeah, we do it up front.
yeah, we do. But I just came across something that I want to put. I want to make a whole advertising campaign around when it comes to how I take care of my people after they buy, and what instead of just focusing on fun things to give them that are gifts that will remind them of me and this glorious moment of closing on the house. I found a guy on YouTube that is giving you a maintenance checklist of things that need to be done monthly at the house, quarterly at the house, biannually at your house, and once a year. And here's the best part about this checklist. It's modernized. So each portion of every single item on there has a corresponding QR code. That QR code you simply just hit with your phone, and it's going to bring up a YouTube video of the guy doing the stuff himself.
Wow.
And so even if there's something on there that you don't feel comfortable doing, you'll at least understand what you're asking someone else to do, and you'll understand why it's important. And that one blew me away. I downloaded it immediately.
Yeah.
And for all of my first-time home buyers, they're going to get that laminated and something that they can put on the side of a refrigerator or somewhere where it will be in their face.
Wow.
So I can sleep at night knowing that I gave them the tools necessary, whether they knew 90% of them or whether they knew none of them. Just giving them something that they can harken back to.
Can I have that?
Oh, yes.
Oh man,
absolutely.
Yeah. Let's share and share alike.
Absolutely.
That's great. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All right. Put that
I know
down
you like
on
a
the
Q-
to-do
I know you
list.
like a good QR code.
I love a QR code.
You
Little
chat
fun,
GPT.
fun fact: my grandparents have QR codes on their tombstones. Because
So you stop joking with me.
I
right
did
now.
this
We're
like
not
5
joking
years
about
ago.
this.
5 years ago, I did this.
What?
Yeah.
And what does it take you to?
It takes you
working out.
I'm so alive.
Yeah,
It takes them to a website called Forever Mist, and they each have their own profile, and people can go there. If you stop there, you can upload pictures. You can comment forever. There's like hundreds of pictures of their life, and it also, when you click the QR code, it opens up the website. It plays a song. It plays a Celine Dion song at my grandma's gravestone.
So is this a one-time fee, or is there maintenance charges on these?
I think I paid like $180 for life or eternity, I suppose.
Yeah. Wow, that is really cool. I can't believe you never told me about that.
Yeah. It's crazy that you can do
But
it.
I knew you liked a good QR code. And he was ahead of everybody on these.
So, that makes me wonder what you're doing. What we've been doing as real estate agents is working with the buyer. We provide that education up front, and then we hope it sticks with them. And we come back 7 years later when they sell it and hope that they did those things. You're talking about a step at the beginning still where you give them something and they can check in on that stuff. And maybe you take that to the next level where you send them those QR codes during their ownership too. Yeah. And maybe they do something about
Touch
that.
points, we call that in the agency world. Huh?
That's right.
Yes.
Homeowners, how would you feel if we checked in with you about those things? None of us want to be parented as an adult.
Yeah.
We don't want to be told how to take care of ourselves and that kind of thing, but it would be good for the world. It would be good for everybody's property value if it was an ongoing process. But I like the idea of the QR codes and the videos up front, the education up front. That's what we do as buyer agents.
Come on.
Oh, so let's see. How about an agent? Continuing on with what the agent can do, the agent's home field advantage. That what we just talked about was a little bit of buyer and seller. What I want to talk about for an agent is the idea of meeting a new buyer out in the field. And am I changing to a different subject here too soon? No. Should we talk a little bit more about deferred maintenance?
No.
Okay.
Perfect.
So just yesterday, I got a lead. I went out and I met a buyer. And when I talked to that buyer on the phone and knowing what they were going to be buying, I had a feeling they probably have a house to sell.
Nice.
This is like a downsized type of buyer. Mm-hmm. So immediately I also looked up where they live, and I printed out a little bit of information about that, so that when we went out and we connected on the house that they may want to buy, I just alluded a little bit to the idea of them having a house to sell. And then when we talked about the value of the house that we were in, I pulled out the information about the value of the house that they are going to be selling. And then we connected on that front. And now I think that I have a buyer seller, someone who will buy first and then sell later. So my tip to agents is don't just prepare for that purchase when you go out there to meet a new buyer, but also prepare for what else they might have to do. You bring that extra piece of information that shows that you went the extra mile. You don't even really have to learn about the house that you're going to. You're going to learn about the house while you're there.
Yeah.
But learn about something extra to show that you go that extra mile.
And okay, so what do you say to somebody that says, man, you've never met these people, and here you are looking up where they live and it details about what they paid for the house and all that? Is that a little presumptuous? Has that ever flied in your face? Have you ever brought up facts about people that you just met and then for some reason it not be taken very well?
It's definitely creepy. But I'm a real estate agent, I'm just doing real estate business stuff. And it's not like I walked in and I said, hey, I also know where you live, and if you want to sell it, I'm ready to do that. I actually
paint that back porch, Yeah, like what the?
I asked a couple of questions leading up to it. We had been together for 40 minutes, and then I wove it all together. Have I said things to people before that I, showed them that I knew too much about them? Maybe.
But nothing has manifested in a way that you knew, wow, if I wouldn't have said that. So what I'm showing is that go for it, guys. If you're smooth and you understand how to make a connection with somebody, it's probably not going to fly in your face because we are professionals. They do expect us to know X, Y, and Z. And when you do, and you know a little bit more than that, that's another one of those things. I think they call them green flags where people go, okay, this could be our guy. And enough green flags get picked up along the way. It goes from this could be our guy to this is definitely our guy. Why would we continue to shop around?
As a buyer agent, extra preparation could be both. It could be a red flag if you let the information out too soon or at the wrong time. But it could be a big time green flag if you time it just right. You might as well take that extra information with you about the house that they might have to sell just in case you can use it. In any case, it's going to help you understand where they're coming from, and why they want to get to where they want to buy.
Very important. Seriously, guys. I mean, when it comes to connection, empathy is the number one thing. And how can you empathize with what somebody's currently dealing with if you don't even know what they're currently dealing with? So, yeah, perfect.
All right. Well, let's go with the opposite of feelings, and let's talk about numbers.
Yeah, facts. Irrefutable, uncontrovertible facts.
That is correct. The only language that anyone should speak.
That's right.
No?
Well, in the age of the machines, as the Terminators talked about, it will be binary code everywhere.
Dune and stuff like that, the Matrix. That's all we're going to need to know is numbers.
That's right.
All right, let's do it. Well, here we are with Homeyology and the future. And you had some information that you sent over. You were thinking about some of the stats that were out there about appreciation. But I think before you talk about that, I might talk a little bit about what I read from ChatGPT today.
Oh, boy, here we go. This might become its own section in itself. Luke and ChatGPT.
I am Luke GPT. I'm living through
Luke GPT.
ChatGPT. I have the little assistant. Well, here's what it is. I wanted to come up with some topics for today, and it just gave me some random real estate topics, and it peppered in one about Topeka. And it said that Topeka...
Oh, it's learning about you.
That's right. The median home price here in Topeka for 2025 or 2024 decreased 5.8%. It decreased, man.
Wow.
Prices are going down.
Hold on. You didn't go to statistics class, buddy.
Man, the thing is, the actual percentage is 11.1% increase. The median home price has increased while ChatGPT said that it has gone down.
Oh, so wait a second. So they gave you bad info.
It did.
So I thought you were saying, hey, because let's be real. the median home sales price can go down.
It can.
And it's still, and you can still look further and realize that appreciation is still happening everywhere. What that would mean to me is that action in the lower, in the below average price range, like if you have a target, like let's say 185 is the number of the average home sales. So that means anything under 185, there's more action there than there is above 185, and that would make the median home sales price go down. But you could still show that, home values themselves are still on the rise.
I think
But that's not what happened here.
It's not what happened. I mean, we have had continued appreciation here in the city of Topeka. Here in Kansas, we've had continued appreciation. Home values have gone up. We're hearing different things. When we hear national news, national statistics about the housing market, it's frequently behind what has actually been going on in booming Topeka, Kansas. And that is why you need to talk to a local real estate agent when you're thinking about your home value and statistics. You need to I talked about just doing it with the computers, but you need to have the people element. You got to have the feeling. You have to have the local touch and the feet on the ground, boots on the ground. That's what it is, right?
You do, because there are a lot of people who still believe that there is a crash imminent. And there are a lot of people online that are making a lot of money, clicks, views, subscriptions, and otherwise telling you need to just wait and wait because the prices are going to come down significantly and everybody else will look like fools. But then you talk to people like us who are in the field, and maybe we can't speak on what may be happening globally, but at least where we're at, somebody waiting to buy a house because they think it's going to cost them less money, 99% assuredly that is going to backfire on them.
Here's what you need to know. You should never wait to buy a house.
Wow.
Isn't that what it is?
Wow. I mean, now listen, if there's a life circumstance where, forking up the money and investment and all that, that's a whole other thing. But if you can. And that's your goal, is to own one at some point. The best time you could have did it is a year ago.
Waiting is worse. Waiting is worse. It's going to cost more for that house. It's going to be more expensive to buy it. Even if the interest rate is higher right now and you don't buy a house, and later the interest rate is lower and you buy a house, then you're probably still worse off that you did not buy, that you waited to buy, because when that interest rate goes down, you could just refinance.
Man, I'm dealing with a cash buyer. This is a different circumstance. And this particular guy bought a house over a year and a half ago, and I think he may have paid $130,000 for this house, and it's a nice house, right? So then he decides that he doesn't want to live in that place anymore. But when he buys the next house, it's going to be a lateral move. He really wants that house just somewhere else. We're not going to get into why, okay?
Okay.
We're just going to get into what happened. So he sells the house for over $150,000, makes a couple of dollars, okay? And now that money that he got from the house is about all he's working with to buy this lateral house. And he has somewhere else to live in the meantime with family. He hates living there, but it allows him to be a little bit picky on this house. Long story short, we are having a bear of a time finding something that is up to his standards in his price range.
Because it's the same price.
It's because him trying to buy his house somewhere else is literal. We're seeing it. We can't get that quality for what was just paid for that house. And the concessions he's having to make, possibly going less than that, are things that he doesn't want to give up.
Wow.
Things like outdated kitchens with no dishwasher, detached garages versus attached, which he had before. All kind of stuff. He's like, man, I'm going to have to paint all this. I'm going to have to do all this. And it's kind of like.
How long ago did he buy that house that he was laterally moving from?
Maybe a year and a half ago. I think he was not in that house more than 18 months before he sold it.
So in the course of a year and a half, the same house has become much more expensive, basically.
Yes, and he thought it shouldn't be a big deal. I can buy houses like this, come and go all the time. And listen, we've only been doing this in the wintertime. We sold that house basically at the beginning of winter, and it's been winter the whole time we've been looking. Mm-hmm. So maybe there are a bunch of houses that have been waiting for spring, and maybe we'll get lucky and we'll get something. But when you look at what's been happening, the chances of anybody who's an agent who's doing the analysis saying we can sell this house for any cheaper than that, they would have to be honestly looking at bad data. Mm-hmm. I don't see it coming. I'll keep you guys posted, but this is happening in real time, stuff we're dealing with.
So hopefully he doesn't get locked into a pattern now where he feels that lack in what he could buy to the point that it delays him 6 months, a year and a half, 2 years, and then the house that he wants gets even more expensive.
It could happen, and he's watching it.
You almost have to have a great capacity to forget in that situation, because you have to forget that mistake. You have to forget what you had, or you have to spend more money. That's kind of what it is. You forget what you had or you spend more money.
Yeah, and I think it's the first one's impossible. One of my favorite quotes, you cannot unknow what you know to be true. And it's going to haunt you, and you're going to have feelings of regret. But there's something about the way this particular person is living his life that he has lived in multiple places over the past 5-10 years. And this is something that he's been able to get away with. And then this time, it's a little bit harder to do what he's been doing. So
sometimes then you stay at home and then you save money and you're saving it. It's great because you got a bunch of money in your bank account. But really, you could have taken that money, bought a house, and that money would have actually been growing if you bought a house. So go ahead and buy a house. Go ahead and buy one.
Just rip the Band-Aid off. If you know that's what you want. I know that doomsday.com is telling you that, something else is going to happen, but we're not getting those signs around here in the Midwest.
This is historic graph of appreciation in Topeka, Kansas. It's always going up.
So show us when we finally didn't have any real growth year over year. What was going on around there?
2008 to 2013. That is the mortgage crisis when all of the banks needed to be bailed out because of very many foreclosures and many defaults. And that wasn't even the fault of the people, the buyers. That was the fault of the banks and faulty lending practices. But even then, Topeka did not lose. We lost a total over those 5 years of about 2%, whereas maybe in other places, we know in other places, Florida, California, Colorado, maybe some of those places lost 20 and 30%. Topeka did not lose. We have appreciated at all other times. There are a couple of blips in 82 and 84 and 86 where it went down 6%, 2%, and 3%, but every year it went up more than it went down the year before.
Yeah,
you can depend on real estate.
So even when things may have stalled, the next year it not only picked up where it left off, but it made up for the lost gains. So the ultimate strategy in real estate is to buy, hold, hang on.
If nothing else, it's going to keep up with inflation. From what we see here, our average appreciation is 3.2%.
There you go. And in my world, since I've been in since 2020, the average appreciation has been probably closer to 7 or 8. It could even be approaching 9. I'm not really, I'm just kind of looking at these numbers cursory, but it's been above average appreciation as the world looks around and realizes that Topeka, Kansas is pretty good bang for buck.
While we're here, what if it retracted? What if it did? What if we had too much appreciation the past 5 years? And what if, what does the crash look like? Is the crash really that we lose everything? Or is the crash that we don't appreciate 7% next year? We only appreciate 2%.
Yeah, that's more likely to crash. That in my opinion.
What if we lost 5%? What happens then? Does it bounce right back again the next year, even more?
History says that.
What if we lost 5% 2 years in a row? What if you bought a $100,000 house and then the next year it was worth 95, and then the next year it was worth 90? Then what? you just don't move. You stay.
Yeah.
You just stay there. And then in a few, you save some money, in a few years, if you absolutely have to move, then maybe you do, Did you lose that much? You didn't gain. That's the thing that you missed, that crashed for you.
Sure.
Is you missed out on 7% gain or 5% gain.
Cost, I believe they'd call that.
But does it hurt that much?
I mean, history says that no, that it can happen, but most likely you'll be back.
At most, I think what it's going to do is slow you down.
Yeah.
Well, it crashed. Now we got to put a new tire on, or we got to put a new bumper on, take it in the body shop. It'll be back. It'll be shiny, and then we'll get a new car in a few years.
Yeah.
Right? Most people aren't buying a new house every 2 years anyway.
Come on.
So even if it crashes 3 years from now, you would have had some appreciation. It would crash a little bit and come down. You'd be like back even.
And the whole time you're still paying the house down. Let's not forget that. You're still making payments. I mean,
instead of making some other guy's payment.
Come on.
Aim your money in the right direction, folks.
That's right.
That's what we're saying. Even if it was aimed at a crash, it wouldn't be worse.
Like for instance, let's think about mobile homes. You can buy mobile homes even when they're not real property and they're not affixed to a foundation. And I would rather be paying down on a mobile home that may in fact lose value. And if anything else, it ain't gaining any value over time. I'd still rather do that than rent. Because at least the amount of money that I've been paying goes to something at the end of the day. And I still will be creating equity on an asset that does not appreciate.
I'm a real estate agent, a realtor, so maybe this is why I feel this way, but I'm also an investor. I feel like the only time that you ever want to rent is if you think you're moving next year.
Okay.
You think you're moving the year after that. But even then, you might as well just take the risk that you're like everybody else and you're not going to move next year. Go ahead and buy something, you know?
If you love your job, you feel like there's opportunity there, buy.
Okay.
Yeah, I felt that.
Yeah.
That was therapeutic.
Therapy, yeah. And that's why we design houses. We paint them nice colors.
That's right.
That's why we make ourselves feel good inside. At least other people do. I don't really put a lot of stuff on the walls. Do you?
Yes, but it's because I'm living with Monica.
We though.
Yeah.
But what about you? Are you the guy that hangs a lot of decorations on the wall and puts stuff on the tabletop? Little pots with what's that called? Potpourri? Does anybody use potpourri anymore?
Not too much.
Been too many snacking accidents, I think.
Oh God! Please don't. Oh God, that's funny.
It smells like cinnamon.
Reminds me of Fritos Twists, but anyway.
We had some of those.
Those are dark too. Anyway. No, I'm okay with some knickknacks. That's more of my wife's thing. I would say I don't really need them to live, but oh God, I put a wind chime up. And I sat on the front porch that I built with my own hands yesterday, and I chilled with that wind chime. Oh, my God, it did something to me.
That is therapy.
Oh, my God, it did something to me.
Okay.
It was so beautiful. So glad that I added that wind chime, and I love being out there in that front porch, man.
So these design pieces.
It's a real extension of the living space.
Yeah. They make a difference, I mean, it makes your house feel full. We're in our full house section, of course.
That's right.
Have to mention that. So I mean, I want to talk about another side, which is a lot more sterile of a design aesthetic.
Okay.
Or it's a lot more, I don't know, boxy. I'm not sure what to call it.
Okay.
We have seen in our market, this is the first time ever where someone is advertising 3D printed homes for sale. You highlighted it for our group. I imagine you've dove in and now you're the Topeka expert on 3D printed homes. I mean,
what I can say is that I knew about them and had watched many videos about this technology years before.
Yeah.
And so when it came, I could not believe it. And then to actually see the prices that are attached to these homes. Mm-hmm. That's what really just punched me right in the stinking mouth, man.
High, low, average?
Affordable as heck. I mean, guys, we're talking A 2-bedroom, 1-bath home with a carport, I believe, no real garage, about $850 on the square footage, which we sell a lot of those. You can buy that brand spanking new for $150,000 here in Topeka, and that's around the price range that my buddy's in. The one that's having a hard time. Maybe I need to hit him up with one of these, say, hey, what do you think about this?
That's how those connections happen for real estate agents.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because we're talking this stuff out, so I love this show. And what this builder did, which is very important, was they're doing lots in which there are no special taxes associated with it.
Oh yeah, that's a big deal here.
Yeah, because that can be the difference between $40,000 or $50,000 in a home price when you start adding those special taxes.
For people out there that aren't in Topeka, I'm not sure that this is the case everywhere, but the special tax is usually taxes that are levied up front. It's costs of the subdivision that are passed on to the buyer of the property. So the local municipal entity has a deal with the builder, and they build the streets, they build the sewers and that type of thing to help the builder be able to afford building, and then they pass that expense on to the buyers who pay extra taxes, special tax, every year for the course of 20 years usually.
Yeah, it's a finite period, and depending on the improvement, some of them could be a 5-year special tax, it could be a 20-year special tax. You could have multiple packaged, and some of them fall off at different points. But here's the other thing, guys. We haven't even really talked about this. What the hell do they mean by 3D printed house?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Let's start with that. Well, so we're talking about a robotic machine that has an arm, and the building material that we're talking about is something we've all used and all seen. It's just concrete. Okay. So they keep the hopper filled with fresh concrete, and this machine goes layer by layer around the entire foundation or the entire circumference of the house. And there may be interior walls that need to be there for structure, depending on the size of the house. But it just goes one, maybe 3-4 inch layer at a time until we have an entire house. And what I've found is that the people who are doing this type of stuff have now gotten the price down to where it is at least equal to what it would take to have a crew of people come out there with a traditional stick-built home with framing lumber and what you see on TV where people are hoisting walls up in the air and all that stuff. They've gotten the price to where it's at least the same, which means that's a huge deal, because a lot of these newer technologies to build houses, they have to get the price down. There has to be enough scale. It has to be a big enough project that the cost of goods and materials can go down enough to make it work. So in this, the manpower goes down a ton. You're still paying for the technology. You're still paying for the material. But think about being in a house made out of concrete. We haven't even talked about the insulation advantages that can come with something like that. I mean, we grew up talking about the big bad wolf and the three little pigs. So we know
it's strong.
I mean, come on. I mean, nobody's going to blow your house down. We live in the Midwest with tornadoes. It makes me ask questions about, is there a insurance benefit? Are they giving credit to houses like this? I mean, the fire rating on houses like this has to be superior than wood. So all these questions, but they're coming. They're already for sale. You can buy it right now. Watch the whole thing get built, and it probably goes a lot faster than you think. And honestly, if I get some time today, I'm driving around over there to see where those sites are.
That's a good idea. I would go with you if I wasn't slammed today. But, I think we're going to talk about this a lot more at some point. But one thing I do want to talk about before we get out of here is, what are they going to look like? I mean, is the outside... Is it going to look like a regular stick-built sided house?
No.
Are the walls on the inside going to look like regular drywall walls, or are they going to have the ridges?
They're going to have the ripples.
Well, that's the thing. Are people going to want that? Are we going to put that material over?
Well, I watched enough of the videos to people who's doing it, and there's options. Number one, do nothing at all. It'll look like bare concrete right on the inside of your house. If you want to mount things to your wall with certain masonry equipment, it can be done, okay? The second thing that they see is where they'll leave the wall like it is, but they'll just paint it. Multiple colors, one color, but you can paint. It's paintable, okay. And then the third thing that you could do if you wanted is just like you would do if you were finishing a basement. You could frame up some drywall and spend a bunch of extra money, and raise the insulation effect just even more at that point. And there are some people that may do that, but the cost of you're spending money that you don't have to spend. You're only getting an aesthetic benefit from it. Mm-hmm. You're not really making the house any more, or that much more energy efficient.
Right now, I don't want that wall. For my interior, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah, right now.
Touch it.
But as we see it around more, maybe the first time you see it, like, whoa, that's cool. I like that. It's like the layers of icing were on top of each other. It's like little round edges and all that. Mm-hmm. And maybe it'll be trendy. Right now, it's going to be totally brand new.
Well, and then the another element about this is we can do things that would normally be very expensive to do on a stick-built house with framing lumber. We can do rotundas.
Oh, yeah.
And it costs you nothing extra. It's just telling the robotic arm to sweep in an elliptical motion. And you could stack them up on one side of the house. And there's just design elements that this opens up to where if you were to say, hey, I want a rotunda in my stick-built house, mm-hmm. Just that feature of the house is going to cost so much more that only like a millionaire is going to say, go ahead and do it. But with this, or back in the day when craftsmen were craftsmen, and they were building gigantic bay windows and houses, because they just felt like it. I think we're going to be able to see some stuff out of these houses that we haven't seen in a long time, and I cannot wait to get inside of one and see. Maybe I'm wrong, but the stuff that I've seen where they've actually put furniture in them and you show them that, and it looks really stinking cool, man.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. There is a really cool video about it that I saw on 60 Minutes, and it was a guy that is building 3D printed homes in Texas, but then he's also working with NASA, and they're trying to figure out how to build 3D printed homes like on the moon using the moon dust or the rocks up there,
What? Oh my God.
Because
if you don't have to bring nothing up there, it makes it a lot more feasible. You just bring a robot that can transform this into something buildable. I'm following you, baby.
Pretty cool. It'll get somebody excited about 3D printed homes that wasn't excited about them before, like me.
Yes.
Hooked me.
Yeah,
got me.
It's happening here in Topeka. This is a big deal. We'll keep you posted.
All right. Well, let's move on to house party. Before I go, mine's not even related to houses, really. So, let's just see if anything happened to you lately that you thought was entertaining. Anything humorous, anything that made you laugh out loud. This guy doesn't laugh out loud very often, guys. So I wanted to, do you do that when you're out on showings? Or are you just like, ha ha ha? This bathroom has 2 toilets.
I'm as real as they come. If it strikes me, there's no holding it back. It's like a sneeze. Imagine having a sneeze and trying to mute it. You know what I mean? You're just going to get snot everywhere. Just let it out.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
you just can't do it.
Hand,
it's bad for everybody.
No, it's a reflexive thing, and I woke up with a flat tire in my car. That kind of sucked.
That's hard.
You got to see the humor in it,
Sure. Yeah, that's you got to laugh at misfortune. So
yeah. What about you?
Like Chandler. Well, so actually, I have this listing. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but it has a water closet that
water closet.
Where the stool is, and the shower is hidden behind the door. So everybody that goes over there and shows this house, they think that it doesn't have a shower in the primary bathroom. I told them
we had a whole segment about how
a little more frustrating than it is funny. But so I was going to tell
we got a buyer on
it. No buyer yet. We're actually working with their mortgage company to try to figure out if we can offer a VA loan assumption. And I called into the mortgage company like a bunch of times, and I got the stonewall. So I just decided to go.
You don't own the house? Yeah, get off our phone.
Yeah. So I went super hard at the guy this time. I had sent my assistant after it a couple of times. This time I just didn't let the guy go. It's like, so you can't look it up with just the name and the address? I should have had the account number. I really should have. You can't help me? Yeah. Anyway. This is supposed to be funny. This is not funny. Okay. Anyway, I ended up crashing through that.
I like Dark Luke every once in a while.
And then we ended up calling. He was like, "Well, we could call your guy on the phone, and he could verbally authorize you." And we did that. So we may be offering VA loan assumption on this property and see what kind of buzz that has for marketing this house. Since it has a 3% interest rate that somebody could.
That's what it has? Mm-hmm. Oh, brother. Yeah, that's going to be.
I'm this close to, being able to market that. But, okay, house party yesterday. We had a big announcement, We announced that we were opening a branch of a mortgage company to be here in our office. And we had teased it for months about who this person was that we were recruiting to be our loan officer. How did it feel being teased?
It was tough. It was tough. And honestly, the only mistake that was made on the teasing and the keeping everything secret didn't happen until the day before.
Really?
And that's when I realized that this guy was a guy and not a woman. But prior to yesterday, literally months leading up to this, we were all wondering who the heck could this be, because it was touted as somebody that we knew, liked, and respected, which meant that it was going to be a divorce impending from that person where they were to joining this new brokerage or this new mortgage company.
Did we get him?
Oh, we got him.
We got him. We definitely got him. We teased it for the longest time, and because we did that, Neil and I decided that we were going to put on a laser show.
Oh, yes.
Lasers, baby.
Oh, yeah, and fog. Don't you dare forget the fog.
You can't. Is it still in here? Smoke alarm was going off, guys. I mean, that was worth it. There'll be a video that has that involved. But, really, honestly, the thing that I cannot get over is actually my regret that I've been feeling. I know it was a great show for you guys,
Something else supposed to happen, Luke.
Yeah, man. It's lasers, dude. That was a really good laser. I spent some time making this laser show, and we had it all set up. We just practiced once, right, because of the fog. And actually, there was a crappy light that was recommended, like a little $30 light that just had little squigglies and circles and a bunch of green and red, a bunch of different flashing, whatever. Who cares about that? We got a laser machine, okay? I bought this because I wanted to have fun with it. And we set it up, and it had star graphics. And this laser, guys,
I remember things happening.
It did the thing where it did the body scan, where it goes up and down on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Total Recall.
Yeah, and it had the stars on the ceiling, had eagle on the ceiling, had a logo on the ceiling, and all that kind of stuff. But what happened? The coordination of it was foiled by too much freaking fog.
Listen, they brought in a fog specialist.
Yeah,
we had a
certified
human being show up whose only job was to produce fog at levels that we didn't anticipate were possible. And boy, he did.
What we found out is on the fog bottle with the fog juice, it's actually long-lasting fog.
Shut up. Shut up.
It'll last a long time. So it
wasn't anything with the machine. It was the juice.
I mean, maybe, he was in the room. He was supposed to coordinate our loan officer, being pushed out in front of the light at the right time. And he aimed the laser just like he did last time. And if it was, aimed in the wrong spot, then he probably would have moved it. But the fog in the room was so dense that they were talking to each other. They were like, did they turn the lights out there? And they're like, no. They couldn't even see each other in the room. They didn't know where they were. They couldn't even reach out to move anything. The fog foiled the experience. It was still good.
Did you feel like a Super Bowl halftime coordinator or something like this? Everything must be right.
They were laughing at me when I wanted to practice even more the Friday before. They're like, that's fine. That's enough practice. That's fine. And I'm laying in bed this morning at 3:30, the lasers. The laser. Oh, if it just it could have been perfect, It was.
Here's what's crazy, y'all, is that I didn't get to talk to Luke before any of this happened, but the little bit of that I could feel of him and see of him, I could tell he was like a parent on party day. I could tell he was locked in. He was not jovial. It was, I have a job. I got one job, and if I F this up on this guy's first introduction, I will never live it down. I mean, I can feel all of that weight on you, and
I saw you feel it when you came to talk to me. But you know what? It went really well. Like the fog guy had some awesome lights. You know,
yeah. From a guy who wasn't part of the preparation of any of this, I thought it was amazing. I felt like I was at WWE Royal Rumble.
Say what happened. Just describe your experience as a viewer of the show that the Laser and Fog crew put on.
Well, number one, who the hell recorded the soliloquy? Who was that?
It was somebody on Fiverr that I paid $10. He could be in Pakistan right now.
Listen, man, I want you to know that I have a secret dream to do voice work online and be paid for it. So next time,
if only it was a secret from you.
I know. Because I would have known everything. The speech that they wrote was just crazy. And then they got music going. It's completely pitch black with nothing but the damn lasers. And you're just on the edge. I had never been on the edge of my seat that much. I mean, the amount of hype I mean, I wasn't sure if an ex-president was walking through the door. That's how much hype it was. I felt like it was when the Bulls were going on their second three-peat run. I mean, we had Metallica blasting in the background. Seriously, it was a huge release.
Do you know that the walk up, or like right before the Enter Sandman came in, was wasn't it Muhammad Ali? Is that what you said? Some Muhammad Ali playing while the dude was doing the Michael Buffer style announcement, and then he walked out of that room and it just had all the lights behind him and all the fog, and it was blue and everything. And I'm still really happy with it. Yeah. You know, I thought the impact was that's what I was envisioning. From Landon, such a great loan officer. We got a really good one.
Yeah, and you know, without getting too, he still hasn't even made the announcement to his people, his world. You know, he wants to do a couple of things here, so we won't get too deep into it. But as a guy that knows what it's like to feel like you cut your teeth at a certain place and then to leave that place and to go do sales somewhere else, we were able to kind of talk about that shared experience, about how that was the toughest news we had to break, toughest decision we've ever made in our lives, and the amount of tears that come out of that. You know, when you don't even think that you're emotional about it, but when you finally say goodbye, and then that's the other part of it. You're almost hoping that the person you're breaking up with acts in a way that makes you feel good about leaving.
Oh, right.
But it makes it even more emotional when they're like, no, man, we want to see you fly. We want to see you go to the next level. We knew this day would come. And you're just like,
Did his employer say that to him?
Yes, in so much, in so many words. You know,
they want to see him fly. You know what's crazy? This is on another note there. When I was leaving Wamego on Friday, Neil and Amanda text me because we knew that he was talking to his employer then, and he was quitting at that moment, you know. And they text me and they were like, hey, did he do it yet? And I was like, I don't know. I just texted him. But I looked over to my left, and there was a freaking eagle sitting in the middle of a field. Like, how many times have you seen an eagle in your life?
You're right. No,
How many?
Right. Not many.
Okay, and I was like, what? And I texted, I was like, I think I just saw an eagle, you know? And I was like, I have to know.
I think the eagle has landed.
I have to know. So I was down the road like 500 feet. I turned around in a weird, I could have ended up in the ditch. I came back, I started recording, I was driving, I was like, I'm going to get this eagle. GPS goes, turn right on Bald Eagle Place. And I was like, what the heck? You know? And so I just kept driving, and I looked over there, and I drove right past. There he is. My camera didn't get it, but I jumped out and I walked around the back of the truck, and the eagle.
Put the car in park.
Yeah. The eagle took off, and you can see him flapping his wings, and then he turned the corner and flew away. It's definitely an eagle, right? You saw the video, didn't you?
Yeah.
Man, on the wings of eagles, you know, like his career is gonna take off and fly. So
yeah, and then his direct superior was somebody that he had an excellent relationship. He said he announced what was going on around 4:00. They didn't leave the office until about 7:00.
Mm-hmm.
It's
good. He's a really good guy. They're a really good organization over there, and I feel bad for that. But at the same time, I'm happy for this, you know. Neil, What do you want?
Yeah.
Home stretch, home run, go home. It's about time to roll out of here.
I don't have anything besides your tell. You can tell when Luke's locked in. What is it?
Oh boy. Oh God.
What's the dig?
Oh my God. What is it, Lou? What is it?
I have a poker face, man. You probably can't
It's
tell.
just where I was
Oh my
gonna say
God.
that, but I didn't want to lead with that.
The sweat. Oh my
He
God.
turns into Michael Jordan on game night, boy, when he's locked in. Just
You do know that when I was first started my career and I was writing contracts, and that was back when I didn't have anybody to call. I was at a small
oh my
brokerage.
God, you didn't even have YouTube barely.
I would put people in the room. I would have a contract written out in pencil so that if I made mistakes or whatever, I could just, okay, we'll fix that. And then I'm going to go out and make a copy and you'll sign something that is not pencil. Okay. But when I had questions, when I had stuff that I didn't know, I would start sweating. Like I would, and that you don't want that when somebody's helping you buy a house, you know. So sometimes I'd be like, "Hey, I need to go make a call," and I would go out of the room and chug like 2 bottles of water and like wash my face and go back in the room,
I need a short on
not
this.
sweating.
I need this. This is gold. This is what you don't see, y'all.
That's what you got to do. It worked, you know. Do I still sweat like that during contracts? Sometimes.
Yeah, but not
maybe.
really.
Only
know
during
a lot
laser
more.
shows.
Wow. Yeah, we can top of that, baby.
Well, guys, we
are back.
appreciate you. We love you coming back to see us. We need you liking, sharing, subscribing.
That's right.
You know, you're here with Hangin,
With the homeboys.
and we'll see you regularly.
That's right. And who cares what that dang groundhog says? Spring is coming soon, baby.
That's right. See ya.